Barbara, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You look wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The word fiduciary means a person of trust. So, like your broker has a fiduciary duty to you, means that the fiduciary has to think about what their duty is to the person or to the case, and not what's going to meet their own financial, emotional needs.
Sounds like what you're saying too is that by getting this licensing, it did hold people trying to enter the field to a set of criteria, expectations, and a code of ethics and all that is hopefully keeping the level of people coming into the field high and keeping those who maybe shouldn't be in this field out. And you
Yeah,
were
now that we never had classes, now there are classes that have to be taken to maintain your PFAC membership and to maintain your licensing. Well, to get the licensing, and every year you need a certain amount of CEUs.
right,
Use
right.
that.
Well,
Which
great. Well,
anyway,
that's great.
yeah.
I just want to say, thank you to all the industry for making, being a part of making that happen. I think, some of that history gets lost. They should create a little history book of the evolution of California professional fiduciaries, and you would be in there. Well, you mentioned just a minute ago that you are involved in selling a piece of real estate, and that brings up two things that I wanted to mention. One is it's always important for fiduciaries who are in the fiduciary field to never have a conflict of interest with their relatives, family, anybody like that. So this is an example where I'm a real estate broker, but I'm not selling that piece of real estate for you because that would be potentially a conflict of interest. So that's a good example there. But I want to drill down now into fiduciary work and real estate specific, because obviously I'm a real estate broker. I saw a need 25 years ago when you were busy doing your business that there was really a need to also help folks that need to sell real estate in estates and trusts and conservatorship. So you were a big inspiration to me. So I want to just drill down a little bit on what fiduciaries sometimes encounter and have to deal with real estate. So in the estates and trusts that you've administered over the years, how often does real estate become one of the biggest issues, in a lot of your cases? Would you say it's usually a high priority, or it really depends on the situation, or where do you see it popping up most?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Usually, when there's families involved, if I just have an individual, the issue is, does that person want to stay at home? Can they afford to stay at home? Okay, if you have enough money, you can stay at home till the end of time. Okay, if you don't have enough money, we can get on the real estate a reverse mortgage, but that runs out after a while and you may still have to move the person. But yeah, some families, we want them to stay home, but I said, we don't have the money. I'm sorry, there's no way we can do it. We can't. We've outlived the reverse mortgage, that kind of thing. So you have to move the person. That's very sad. When
Yeah, so I think I hear what you're saying is everybody's ultimate desire in life is to stay in their house until it's time to leave this world,
usually,
right? That is what most people want. That said, I think from talking to you in the past that you do have some clients that when you move them to assisted living or a care facility or some other place, they actually may find it's more enjoyable. What's a situation where that would be the case?
oh, I have that.
Okay.
I'm still maintaining a building, but
Right.
on Union Street, but the building is generating enough money for the person to stay in assisted living. And I keep saying, you want to come home? No, I'm not ready. And I think she's having a social life that she never had before.
Oh, okay.
So,
So she lived by herself in San
right,
Francisco in a
right.
building that had other rental units.
Yes, and
Is
a
that
good thing
right?
I went
Okay.
there one day because she had a blood clot in her leg. I mean, I called the paramedics immediately and they took her
Okay.
out. And then
Okay.
when she
And
was,
how long has it been since she's
oh my
since she's
God,
been
4 years.
Okay, and so it sounds like in this case she likes being in this other place and she had the financial wherewithal and it made sense to keep the building because it was generating income
And because the capital gain on that building would be probably pretty high because the mother
if you sold it.
yeah,
Right,
we died
right.
20 years ago. So the base,
Okay,
yeah, it would
right.
have to look at tax issues too when you sell
Ex
something.
exactly. Okay. So in this case, what you're saying is if you sold the building now, she'd have a big gain, and because she's still alive, you would have to pay tax, a capital gains tax, on a very large gain on the
Right.
sale.
I
So
would
she
think,
could pay literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. Whereas if you wait until she passes,
right.
would the plan then be to sell the building? I'm assuming because
Oh,
she,
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
And does she have heirs or
It's going to charity and they'll be very happy
okay, so it would go to charity, and you would obviously coordinate this sale. And in that case,
if I'm alive.
you'll be alive. In that case, if when it comes time to sell that building after the beneficiary passes, it's going to charity, and in that point, you would not be liable to pay capital gains tax, right? Because it would be an inheritance or
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
Okay, great.
The
So that is a
basic
big.
would step up to what the value was at the date of death.
Right, right. Okay, so that's a great example of, you did some sort of analysis and said, look, it makes more sense to keep this building, right? So, can you give me just another example or two of where you get a case and then you have to decide whether it should be sold, rented, or, held because maybe the person's going to come back? What would be what does that first thing look like to you? I think you mentioned a little bit of it in terms of can they stay in the home, right?
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, you try to see if they can stay at the home, in the home. You also,
And if they could, then you don't want to sell it. You want to keep it, let them stay there. You said mentioned a reverse mortgage, right, as an
but you
option there.
also, besides the care, you have to take in when you're doing your analysis, you have to take into account the cost of maintaining the property. You still have taxes, you still have insurance, you still have utilities, you'll still have upkeep.
You may have property management fees, and also, and in the Bay Area, you're often dealing with homes that were built 75 to 100 plus years ago, right? So they're
Nobody
much
ever did anything on the homes. So
right, right,
that's
right,
another thing. Is the home itself safe for
right.
the person? It could be so, I've had cases with, I went into this house and the pigeons seemed to be living there. So it looked like there was snow all over the house. It
Wow.
was
Yeah.
pigeon shit
Right.
all over
Okay.
the house
Right.
because there were no the windows were broken. I mean, it was too much.
Right, right. And yeah, and so you probably do some sort of calculation, and if it's going to cost $100,000 to rehab a house to make it safe and finances are an issue, it may not be worth it. So that's definitely the condition of the home is another factor. Anything about rentals, the idea of like, say someone's leaving the house. We talked about capital gains as being one of the reasons to rent the property. I think in the situation you're talking about with the building in San Francisco, have you actually rented out her unit or you've just kept the other units rented?
I haven't rented her unit yet, but I've had so much maintenance on that building that I don't know if we're going to run out of cash. I will definitely have to do that. But it will cost some money to get that unit ready for a rent. But if that'll get a good rental if I can get it good.